Thanks to the previous speakers, Mr. Gandhi and Mr. Ramchandran. We were talking about collaboration of banks between fintech companies and banks. Banks has to be more or less very confident of letting their access to fintech companies. So when we talk about banks collaboration with fintech companies, there should be a trust factor, but the trust factor should be so strong that zero trust has to be enabled on it. When I say zero trust, we cannot trust the existing environments in which the data or the security is being played. The zero trust technology is a new technology which will ensure that collaboration between banks can happen. So instead of using a PPT, I would like to take you through a presentation on the whiteboard. So what we're talking about is a fintech company collaborating with multiple banks, and these multiple banks having a platform where the customers are going to come in. So in this, what will happen is that the customers are going to connect to fintech environments, and the fintech environments is connecting to multiple banks. So this can happen only if the banks is able to trust the fintech environment and give the access to the employees or the customers who are going to be here. So there is interoperability between the access from here till here. So how are you going to look into this concept? How is going to be a white labeled environment going to look into the trust from a bank? So initially we saw ICICI Bank trusting people to get into an internet banking. So that gave a boost. So we are also expecting that security can actually become a business enabler, but in case you have a more secure environment. Now a bank is expected to trust an employee who is not the bank's employee. The bank is expected to work with people who are not bank's people. So that's where the fintech company has to have a zero trust environment and work on them. I'm just going to give you show an access how it happens. In case there's a counter which is going to be the end user counter, an employee will log in. So when he logs in, the particular bank is going to send an OTP to that particular individual who is not an employee of that bank. The bank should have the end user's information. So when the end user information has been given from the bank with an OTP, the bank wants more security on that individual who is logging into the bank. He is not an employee. So the biometric is going to ensure that the individual has been identified by the bank, and the bank's details is going to pop up on his machine. And the user is going to log in to that bank and start working on it. And once the work is over, when he logs out of the system, because a new customer has come in, all the details is gone. So here what we are trying to do is that the access is given only on demand. A customer comes in, the bank employee in that particular counter is not connected to one single bank, he may be connected to multiple banks. So based on the necessity, he is going to log in, and based on the login, the bank is going to give an access to their core center. So all the data is not going to be there on this machine at all. All the data is going to be there in the bank servers, it is in the data center of the bank, and it is going to ensure that there is no data which is going to be there in the bank itself. As of now, the banks what you have seen is all with MPLS, and all the data is live on that bank. Going forward, there is no data which is going to be there on the bank. All the data is going to be there in the data center. Only access is going to be given to the bank. The real data is not going to be there. So what are the challenges with respect to zero concept. So when we talk about zero trust, whatever we built now can be compromised tomorrow. So how are you going to have a zero trust environment? So I say that it is zero trust concept on existing environment for secure access. Secure access is something which everyone wants. But as of now, we cannot trust the antivirus, we cannot trust the Mac, we cannot trust the IP address, we cannot trust the NAC, we cannot touch the AD, we cannot trust the user.